The following is a Papi Chulo Radio original program. The views and opinions expressed in the commentaries and/or interviews in the following program are solely those of the individuals and are not views of Papi Chulo Radio, its parent, affiliate, or subsidiary companies.
Welcome to Are You Afraid? Double Feature, Part 2, Death Valley, brought to you by KHS News from the West, a PapiChuloRadio.com original series, Papi Chulo Radio, celebrating a decade of podcasting excellence. Today is Thursday, September 30th, 2021, and I'm your host, Jeffrey Arauz. During this podcast, we'll be having an in-depth discussion on FX's American Horror Story Double Feature. Please welcome my co-hosts, Madison Fitzpatrick.
Hey guys, welcome back.
Priscilla Rocha.
Hey everybody.
And Vinnie Hatcher.
Hello.
Let's jump into our recap of Season 10, Episode 7, which was titled Take Me to Your Leader, and aired September 29th, 2021. Here's the official synopsis of the episode. A group of college students on a camping trip are swept up in a horrifying and deadly conspiracy, decades in the making. Dun, dun, dun. I felt like I needed that. Alright, so we're back. It's the second, well, it was the second half, but it isn't really half. It's like the next 40% of Season 10, Death Valley. Brand new story. New characters, some familiar actors. So let's talk about it. And let's start off with the cold open. So everything that happened right before the opening credits. We're introduced to a 1950s housewife. Her kid is playing in the front yard. She's getting dinner ready for her hubby who's at work. And then all of a sudden, Dean Martin starts singing all satanic because the record starts spinning backwards, time starts spinning backwards, everything electronic goes on the fritz. It looks like her child gets abducted by aliens. It turns out maybe he's an alien. It turns out maybe Mommy was an alien all along. All I know is Daddy comes home and Mommy explodes his head, and not in a sexual way. So, let's talk about this. The setup, the cold open to Death Valley. Priscilla, what'd you think? Was it a good setup? Did it pique your interest?
Yes. Oh my God, I fucking love this. It's a great way to show aliens without actually showing the aliens, like actually showing like the little green men. And it's like, I don't know, it reminded me, it harkened back to season 2 where we got the aliens there and just everything started like flashing and like crazy shit started happening and all of a sudden like they just got abducted and weird shit started happening there. Like it was the same thing here, except now we get more details. Now we get people with powers that come afterwards with head exploding powers, it seems. And I don't necessarily feel like, I don't know, I feel like the woman is dead or the kid is dead. I just think like the aliens replace them like inside.
Oh, body snatchers.
Yeah. It has to do with what we see later on in the episode, but like, yeah, I think they replaced them.
Very interesting. All right. We already have a theory. Love it, love it, love it. I should also mention that everything that we saw was in black and white, and that's important because everything that's in the past appears to be shot in black and white, which is an interesting choice. It kind of harkens back to those, spectacular but spectacularly cheesy special effects sci-fi movies from like the 1950s and 60s. Vinny, let me bring you into the conversation. What'd you think of the cold? Oh wait, Priscilla, yes.
Did anyone like the past scenes a lot more than they liked the present scenes? Because that's what I did. Like,
Well, yeah,
I really liked the
I was
black
gonna,
and
yeah.
white, like how it was shot a lot more.
Priscilla's jumping ahead, but yes, that is a question that I was gonna ask. But if anybody wants to chime in without getting into the future stuff or the present day stuff, you're more than welcome to.
I mean, I'll say that the beginning of this episode was really the only part of the entire episode that I enjoyed.
Okay.
Yeah, I wasn't as drawn in as I was with the beginning of Red Tide. Like I'll be really, to be brutally honest, this episode did not hook me the same way that I was initially hooked and gaslighted by Red Tide. I mean, I'm all for like a good alien story. I've watched my fair share of like old black and white movies, but one thing that I found that struck with me about the past scenes, while I did like the beginning, the element of cheesiness and corn was a little bit too high for my liking. I really started to feel, especially even in the beginning, even though I did kind of like this part, like I had made a mistake and I was watching a new episode of American Horror Stories because there was something about the tone, and I get that it's like, it's a different thing, it's a new thing, but it just didn't resonate with me the way that American Horror Story usually does. That being said, I did appreciate a lot of the visuals that they use. Like they went all out with being in black and white and going for that retro feel. Like the set drop was very clearly not CGI. It reminded me of how they would paint a canvas to look like the rest of the farm fields and all that good stuff. And the scene with the head exploding, I definitely thought that was really well done, because you don't normally see that level of gore in a black and white film. But I did feel a little bit like the acting fell a little flat for most of the characters, and maybe it was the actors, maybe it was the writing, but everyone kind of sounded the same to me. I didn't get a lot of invested emotion, but I also admit that could be part of how they're doing the vintage feel going back, because in those vintage cheesy alien horror movies, the acting was not always the greatest. But out of everything, I did enjoy the first part of the episode, and it kept my attention more than the rest did.
Okay. Maddie Fitz, let me bring you into the conversation. So just specifically the cold open, we are going to talk about the rest of the 1950s momentarily, but were you intrigued by what you saw during the cold open with, Maria, her child, and her dead husband?
Yeah, I mean, I totally was feeling the black and white. I definitely liked when things were kind of going a little crazy. The Dust Devils, I hated because they clearly looked CG, like graphics. Like it didn't really look real. It looked really, really fake. But I liked when the record player was going backwards, when time was going backwards. That was all really, really cool. I kind of got Close Encounters type vibes just from the kid.
Do-do-do-do-do.
Yeah. So I kind of got those vibes. Like it was a little more creepy than I thought it was gonna be, which I liked, but then it got really corny a little bit. So I was kind of on the edge of that. I was kind of teetering between it being really, really cool and creepy and it being really corny.
Okay. All right. We have a little bit of a mixed bag, which is always interesting. I'm a little bit more on the Priscilla side of things. I really enjoyed the cold open. I thought it set the right mood, especially for what we saw in the 1950s. The exploding head was fantastic. The white eyes are interesting. Yeah, I was intrigued. The alien mythos that they introduced was kind of neat. So something that I forgot the last time, that when we were doing the very first episode of Red Tide, that I want to make sure that I didn't forget this time around that we're doing Death Valley, is the opening credits. They did change the credits. They're all alien and fetusified for your viewing pleasure. What did we think of the opening credits with that familiar American Horror Story music for these opening credits for Death Valley. Maddie Fitz.
I really liked them, and I liked that they were kind of all black and white as well. But I really did not understand the whole octopus thing. That didn't really scream alien to me, but it did scream Independence Day to me. I always have that scene like melted in my head in the original Independence Day with Will Smith when they're doing the autopsy and then the alien comes to life and he uses his tentacles kind of thing around the one doctor. And that kind of was the only thing that I could think of like octopusy alien-y. But I'm not liking this whole octopus vibe. But other than that, I really, really liked it.
Into tentacle porn?
Aw, you had to bring that up.
I
You
know,
had to
right?
bring
She didn't
it
even
up.
answer. That means she's into it. But it's okay. Yes. Tentacles do end up showing up. So someone out there is very happy. Any other thoughts from the rest of the team about the opening credits? Did anything stand
it
out?
set the stage really
Mhm.
well. Like, it gave me flashbacks to like Mystery Science Theater 3000 a little bit, but in a good way with the credits. Like, it was really awesome just the way that I got like that. I was taken back to when I was a kid and I was watching late night Sci-Fi Channel, late night movies where they were redoing, the thing from outer space, all that good stuff. I think it set the tone very, very well, and I did like what they did with them a lot.
All right. Anything to add, Priscilla?
I will say I liked it, but a part of me is a little heartbroken that we didn't get sirens plus aliens because of like the whole tentacle thing. So yeah, that's what the tentacle reminded me of. The sirens that we didn't get.
It made me a little bit bitter too. You're not alone.
Well, there you go. All right. Moving on with the actual story in the 1950s. So a lot happens to set up, the season. We get a bit of a cliffhanger. It's interesting because the whole double feature name motif kind of is in full effect during Death Valley because half of the episode was in the 1950s and half of the episode is in present day. So in the 1950s, we see President Dwight D. Eisenhower, Ike, if you nasty, and we also see Mamie Eisenhower, played by our girl, Tuberculosis Karen. No, Sarah Paulson. The president ends up learning that there's something mysterious that crashed, and so he has to go investigate it. When he tells his wife, Mamie, she kind of makes it seem like, you sure you're telling me the truth? She alludes to the fact that maybe he's cheating on her. Maybe I need to research Ike because I didn't know he was a philanderer. So that might make him a little bit more interesting. But he ends up going to investigate. They find a crashed spaceship. They find an alien body. He says it looks like a child. And they take it anyway, and they're going to dissect it. They also find one of our other girls, Amelia Earhart. She has crop circle-y type tattoos on her back. She ends up being confused because she feels like it's 20 years ago. She's also 2 months pregnant, and there's that. When they dissect the alien child, they find him hollow, but there's a I don't even know what to call that, like a face hugger, like a spongy type of not of this world entity inside of the hollow cavity that ends up attacking the scientists, I guess. Yeah.
The morticians?
Well, I would assume they're not morticians, but
I don't know.
the scientists that are dissecting the alien, their heads explode, and then we meet the woman from earlier in the episode, Maria, we once knew a girl named Maria. And she's all alienified. She's floating in the air. She's got the white eyes. And the president basically is like, let's talk this out. We don't need violence. Put your guns down. And she's basically like, you're going to listen to me. So that was everything in the 1950s. Let's talk about it. We had a little bit of mythos. I feel like we can kind of surmise where this is going, especially based off the second half of the episode. Also, if you watch the promo, there's like there's a line of dialogue that kind of spills, the tea about everything, I would say. But what did we think of what we saw? Maddie Fitz.
The Amelia Earhart thing was kind of cool. I
Our
really
girl,
liked
right?
the guy. What?
Our girl was Amelia. Yeah.
Oh, I know. I really like the actor who plays the president. I really enjoy his acting. I've been watching him in Yellowstone recently, and it's really cool to see him in this American Horror Story universe. But yeah, when they arrived at the crash site, typical kind of Roswell, theme. Nothing really new here. Initially, when I heard him say it looks like a boy, I thought, oh, okay, well, maybe it's the boy that we had just seen, a couple scenes earlier, the boy from the house. And then, so obviously weirded out with Amelia Earhart's back. Obviously, maybe experiments and blah, blah, blah.
The girl
all
with
that
the
stuff.
alien
I like
tattoos.
I like the whole time jump thing. That's cool. But yeah, with the experiment, a little weirded out that he was hollow, and yeah, like I don't know, everything that we saw was kind of like an homage to other alien movies that we have seen before. So I'm interested to see how this season is going to differ from kind of like the cliche alien abductions that we all know and love. But I do like the floating woman with the white eyes. I'm interested to see if they're going to do like kind of flashbacks often, like to the black and white era. If that's going to keep going, because I would like to see how that conversation left off.
Oh, 100%. I agree with you on that. Priscilla, your thoughts on everything 1950s?
I was like, how did she make it into the Air Force Base? Did she like just explode a ton of heads to make it all the way to the bottom where like the surgery was taking place? But enough about that, about the backstory.
I mean, once you pop, the fun don't stop.
Yeah. Once you get to there, like, it's okay. Like, one exploding head, two exploding heads, what's the difference? But my goodness, like, what's gonna happen when she says that you're gonna listen to me? Like, does that mean that we're gonna be offered up on a silver platter to the aliens because the president knows that like there's nothing that he can do against these aliens? Because if not, they're just gonna explode his head. Because shit, what else is he gonna do? They clearly have the upper hand here.
Yeah, these are all the answers Demi Lovato wants. Right, Vinnie?
Yup.
Heck yeah.
Yes. All right, your thoughts on the 1950s?
I guess I'm going to be the dissenting judge because
The Russian judge?
Me. Yeah, the Russian judge. I guess I've just seen it too many times. I mean, literally, I went to the bathroom during part of the 1950s, and when I came back, I was like, let me guess, this is what happened. And I pretty much had predicted that she was going to show up at the base, she was going to kill some people, she was going to talk to the president, and, it's not that I mean, This part of the episode, the past timeline, I didn't hate this part of the episode, but it wasn't anything new. I don't really feel, other than the head exploding and the gore factor, it didn't really bring anything new to the table that I haven't seen multiple times before, and it was very predictable for me. The moment they did a close-up of the chest, I mean, I agree it was kind of creepy that it was hollow, but because of that close-up, I immediately predicted that there was going to be something that was going to jump out like a chest burster from Alien and attach itself to someone, or something was going to happen along those lines. I was really hoping that it was going to be something that wasn't going to follow the normal cliched pattern, kind of like Maddie talked about earlier. We've seen a lot of these things before. I guess for me, I'm tired of seeing the same thing, and I wanted them to do the American Horror Story twist on it, but I feel like they're just coloring by numbers. It was definitely better than the future timeline, but yeah, there wasn't anything after the opening that really stuck out to me. I didn't really care for the Amelia Earhart thing, only because it's another cliche. Someone from the past was actually abducted by aliens. Now they're back and they're going to experience time disconnection. And okay, yeah, she's pregnant. Aliens impregnating people is another cliche. I mean, I guess I should have expected it, but I don't know. It fell flat with me, and I wasn't overly overjoyed by it.
All right, Debbie Downer. It's okay. I enjoy people living their truth.
It's a classic alien story. It's not necessarily like, it's not that they're going by rote stories. It's that they're going by what's classic, by what everybody knows about aliens. That
Yes, Priscilla.
They impregnate people. That they're looking for ways to spread their science, and they're looking for ways to spread their...
For a second, I thought you were going to say spread their seed.
I thought so too.
No. But yeah, that too. Sure.
Yeah.
But yeah, everybody knows that that's what they've been looking out for. That, like, you look into any, like, Nutso's blog about how he was abducted by aliens, and they've always talked about how they've been probed and how they've been, like...
How dare you call them nutsos?
Fine. Any self-respecting person who's been
There you go.
probed.
Cartman. I mean,
And it's just tradition, I guess.
Oh, totally. I mean, I definitely agree with it. It's tradition. I guess I've held that this season, I had it to such a high standard because of how long we had to wait. And, I admit that part of it was probably my excitement, and part of it, too, is probably the disappointment from, last week. But I guess for me, too, American Horror Stories, what I've always enjoyed about it is they do sometimes take things that that are traditionally done one way and kind of do it another. And they could still surprise us. I'm totally open to having my opinion changed. But I just kind of was, maybe I was expecting to be blown away, and I kind of wasn't.
okay. Well, I'll say this. After last week's debacle, I really enjoyed this episode. It was like, okay, this is interesting. After everything that we sort of suffered through last week, I was like, this is refreshing. And I did enjoy the black and white 1950s storyline. All of the exposition, basically the mythos that they were introducing to us that was clearly going to explain or at least hint at, what was happening in the present was interesting to me. Was some of it a little cliched? Yes. But was it still, interesting to see the cliches get the American Horror Story slight twist? Yes, for me at least. I loved Lily Rabe as Amelia Earhart. I thought she was fascinating. She did the whole, 1930s type of, accent. Sarah Paulson and Neil McDonough playing the president and his wife, or his wife and the president, I enjoyed as well. I thought it was fascinating. I loved the black and white. The cinematography with the black and white was really good because some of those natural set pieces that they had for like the spaceship, it might have looked a little cheesier in color, but in black and white, it kind of, the sort of grayscale color gradient makes everything, I think, look a little extra mysterious. which was kind of nice. And I love the threat at the end when she was like, nope, you're going to listen to us. You're going to do what the fuck we want. I mean, how can you say no to that? So anything else in the 1950s? Anything that I missed from the year I think we were exactly in 1954?
Over under on how if the kid is still alive.
Oh. Well, I mean, the kid is still alive. I mean, he's just got an alien in him. So,
Mm,
but
yeah, true.
yeah. So he's probably alienified still, as long as Mama Alien Leader needs him.
Oh, that's creepy.
Yes, and that was very Village of the Damned in a good way.
When he's like, you can trust me, Mama, take my hand. I was like, oh, that's
That was creepy.
You don't trust nobody, not even your child. Yes. So let's move into the present day. We're introduced to four Gen Zers who are reuniting after a year separated, because of university, college life, etc. There's Kendall Carr, there is Carl Cambon, there's Troy Lord, and Jamie Howard. We also learn that Cal and Troy are in a relationship. Kendall is a Luddite, aka anti-technology, and Jamie is coming off of a breakup because her potential boo had some toxic jizz. So, what did we think of their introduction? I know Vinnie has his own opinion on their introduction. So I'll start off with Priscilla. What did you think of the four of them as characters? Did you find them interesting? Did you find them refreshing? Did did you like all the really frank sex talk? What did you think of the quartet?
The blonde guy, oh my god, he was so fucking infuriating when he was just kind of like, can I have this sake? No, can I have this one, please? Oh, okay,
Cal.
you don't have either of them? Then I'll take your cheap stuff instead. I was just kind of like, oh my god, you are the worst customer ever. Oh, I hate you. Like, automatically, if you die or if you get, like, any, like, bad stuff happen to you, I don't care. Like, I don't like you.
That's funny.
And
He
Kaya
learned how to
Gerber,
perfect that at the bro house.
oh god, Kaya Gerber, her character. Why? Why do you eschew technology being like that you want to be a doctor? I completely agree with her friends. MRIs, X-rays, like aren't you gonna need to use technology? Like and she's like, no, I don't need to use technology and I'm not gonna use my email and I don't know, it seemed she seems really dumb. It seems like she just did that just to sleep with a really hot guy. But it's totally like a new millennial Gen X sort
Well,
of
no,
thing
Gen
to do.
Z.
Yes,
Gen
Gen
X
Z.
is 40 plus.
Oh
That's
shit.
me.
It's Gen Z.
Gen Z, yes. You can't say millennials because that's us. That's them. We don't even have a Gen Z here. Maddie Fitz, you're not Gen Z, are you? I don't think you are. You're too old for that shit, right?
No, I'm a millennial.
Yeah. Our one Gen Zer is not here. Okay, the group. I thought, first of all, I will say, I thought they had really good chemistry together.
Yes, it is.
I thought Kaya Gerber was a little bit better than how we saw her in American Horror Stories, the spinoff. So she had a little bit more of a natural presence to her. I also thought Vinny's gonna have his old talk about something else, but I didn't mind the sex talk. I thought that was sort of fine and almost normal. I feel like millennials and Gen Z, friends, you have sort of frank talk topics about sex and all that type of stuff. And I didn't find that. I thought that was okay. It was whatever. The thing that I thought was weird, and it seems to be an AHS thing whenever they do Generation Z, is they have to give them a weird quirk. Like, why does Kendall have to be a Luddite? Like, why did we have to have, the 16, 17-year-old girl on American Horror Stories be into BDSM? Like, why do you have to give them, like, a weird quirk? Like...
No, that's an easy answer. It's because they wanted to get rid of cell phones.
Well, yes. Well, yeah. No, I get that. But I'm saying it was just so weird that they had to, like, really hone into that for her. Like, they could have done something. They could have given them another excuse to get rid of the cell phones without, I am a Luddite, and I need to research, what happened to me, but can I have permission to use the internet? Like, it was just way too much for me. And it seems to be, we would say typically a Ryan Murphy trope, but since Ryan Murphy did not write this episode, it's Mr. Brad Falchuk, a.k.a. Mr. Gwyneth Paltrow. I'm going to have to say it's a Falchuk thing. Falchuk must really love giving Generation Z, like, not the norm character quirks to, like, try to make them interesting. And for me, it backfires whenever he does it. That's just my take on it. Maddie Fitz, what'd you think of our quartet of... fresh from high school, not that fresh, but fresh-ish from high school, reuniting after a year away, experiencing university life, etc. They're planning on going camping together. What'd you think of the four of them? Were they interesting to you?
I mean...
Could you be friends with them?
Yeah. Man, I don't know. They seem pretty chill, pretty cool people. It seems like they all have interesting storylines, which I know that we were kind of talking about how it's a little much. But I think it all has to do with, that, like, being inclusive and stuff. I don't know. Like, I just feel like everything now has to be so relatable. You know what I mean? So it's like the more that you can include, the more people will be like, oh my God, I'm so glad that they, like, said this, or, like, you know what I mean? I just feel like TV is getting more like that now. So that's why I kind of feel like all these these people's problems and stories were brought up so early. But I don't know. They seem like they're a bunch of great friends. And yeah, because I didn't watch American Horror Stories, it was interesting for me to see these people for the first time. So yeah, I don't mind them.
Well, only two of them were on American Horror Stories.
Yeah. But still, they're all new to me.
Yes, they are. They are all new to you. Yes, Vinny, do you have anything to add in regards to the introduction of the four friends?
No, just to clarify that the sex talk didn't bother me. It was just that for listeners, to clarify, I sent Maddie and Jeff this quote that I found that said, "We know more about the boys and their sexual habits than we do about the characters themselves or the plot." That's kind of, I don't mind the vulgarity. In fact, I'm a very vulgar person. If you talk to me outside of a podcast, I have a very deep sense of humor that goes into the dark places. But no, I don't know. I didn't connect with the characters. It's not even that I found them obnoxious. I couldn't connect with them. I felt as if they really didn't have a lot of substance, and it just, I wasn't interested in them. I really, to be very honest, I have no interest as to what their fate's going to be based on this first episode, because they're very shallow, and I don't mean, being millennials or being shallow people, but as far as the writing and the development, maybe it is because there was so much of a focus on their actual problems than them as people, and we are operating on a condensed timeline, but I didn't connect with them. They didn't resonate with me. I really don't. I can honestly, I don't even remember their names. I will say, though, that I did like Kaya Gerber more. I agree with that. She plays this character very well. I will give her that, because even before the friend said it, and we said it here, it's clear that she jumped on the Luddite train just as she jumped on the Luddite professor. Her and the other female character, they do obviously have a close relationship. As we get through the more of their storyline, we see that. But even then, I don't know. It's just I don't feel like it's genuine. It didn't instill any kind of like feeling in me about them. I felt like they were just kind of going through the motions for most of the time they were on the screen. And I feel also that we spent entirely way too much time in the restaurant and talking about the upcoming trip and getting to where they were talking about going on the trip. And if we only have 4 episodes, I think they very easily could have given us a little bit more substance for this timeline in the story, more than we got.
I don't disagree with you on that. The fact that we do know that it's only 4 episodes, we are short on time, and the introduction did go on a little bit longer than I expected, especially because this wasn't an extended episode like we've seen in the past.
Yeah.
Sometimes American Horror Story, with commercials goes on for a little longer than an hour, and this one was exactly an hour. So we didn't have any extra time. And I felt that as well, especially with the present day stuff, because I wanted to see stuff happen. I do understand we have to be introduced to the characters because we're supposed to, whether we like them or hate them, we're supposed to feel something for them because clearly shit's about to go down for them in a really bad body horror type of way. Which
Right.
I'll be honest, I can't wait for that. Well, before we even discuss that, let's get to that point. So we see them go on the camping trip. They are anti-technology for the camping trip, so no cell phones. They drive to Joshua Tree. They rent a tent thing. And, we see them, be friends over the course of Blondie's Rapture playing in the background for whatever reason. And then shit starts to become weird. Because we saw them while they were rapturing. They went to, like, a watering hole type of thing where they were chillaxing and all that kind of stuff. And when they try to go back to it, it doesn't exist. They also smell something in the air. And because most of them are Caucasian, they go to investigate. And they find...
Hey, I resemble that remark.
I know, right? And they find perfectly sliced in the middle... were those bulls or cows? They were
I
cows,
think
right?
they were steers. Yeah.
Okay. Perfectly sliced in the middle. And when Kendall decides to reach out and touch the animal, eyes sort of glaze over, we hear a murr, and they run. They pack up as fast as possible, but it is, it's going to be night soon. And they have to drive, and we find out that civilization is about an hour away. And so they're driving. Then all of a sudden the car stops. And a beam of light, an alien says, hey, and time passes. They're in the opposite seats that they were before in the car. One of their friends, Jamie, is missing. As they're driving, they find her in the middle of the road. And after they get home, they all experience the same symptoms. Vomiting. They all the girls first take pregnancy tests. They are pregnant. How is what they say. The guys, because they're experiencing the same symptoms, they're forced to take pregnancy tests. And yes, they are pregnant as well. Brum, brum, brum. Body horror ensues in the coming weeks. So, let's talk about this. We have the quartet. They get abducted. They are now all pregnant. I mean, I feel like we all knew they were going to get, experimented on and that sort of thing. Like after Amelia Earhart, I feel like we knew this was coming. What do we think of, not necessarily discussing, whether it was expected or that sort of thing, because I feel like we all expected it. What did we think of how it was visually expressed in the episode? Priscilla?
My God, like I forgot what the question was, but I'm just like
Okay,
going,
good.
I'm just going by what like I remember from this episode, which was just the second part of it, which was oh my god, the pregnancy scare, the mpreg, which I can't. How how do you say that this is Vinny? How do you say that this is routine like alien stuff if they're giving us male pregnancy? That's
Ooh.
something that's not really seen in
She called you
most
out, Vinny.
alien stuff.
She's calling Vinny out. I love
Ooh,
it.
she called me out. Well, I mean, I will admit that it's not often, but I can't remember, but I have seen that before. But I was more so speaking in general the trope, not specifically the men. So I will give you that the males being pregnant is rarer, definitely.
Yeah, I feel like this is where you find the highest stairs and you just throw yourself down the stairs. I'm just saying. I mean,
Dude,
yeah.
if it's like aliens, they're probably like indestructible babies or something. Like you saw the opening. Those babies look fucking different, otherworldly, and they have like fangs and stuff like that, and their bones have like tentacles and stuff like that coming out of them. No, those babies are probably, I don't know, otherworldly. They got something going on in them.
Well, yes. Yeah, I agree with you on that. Vinny, Mr. Persnickety.
So I do sense body horror coming, and I am tentatively interested / maybe excited about that because I'm a huge Cronenberg fan, and anyone who's watched a Cronenberg film will know what I'm talking about. I don't know. I think that it is an interesting way to provide more cohesion to the four of them as what I'm seeing as the central unit of this part of Double Feature, at least in the future timeline. I am going to laugh because there was one point where my partner was like, oh yeah, so they're going to just immediately accuse the two gay men of roofing them so they could get them preggers. I thought that was rather amusing. I did enjoy that line from the girls because when they were trying to figure out how they were both pregnant. It will be kind of interesting also to see how the male pregnancy plays out. Like, how is the baby going to be born? Like, where is it going to come out? Is it going to be a C-section? But
The front or the back?
Yeah. What?
I said the front or the back.
I know. I was trying to think of a.
There are two
a political correct
canals.
way.
There are only two canals, the front or the back.
I know.
It could be like a kidney stone or it could be like a number 2.
No, I the surprise on the characters' faces at the end was like, oh my god, you're pregnant. But what was interesting is how quickly they all kind of accepted it. That kind of, it's like, oh, okay, so I guess we are pregnant. What does this mean? I did find this section comical, so I didn't hate it. Like, I did actually kind of enjoy it from like a comedic sense, because it's starting to get a little slapstick for me about like all four of them being pregnant. And it's like, 4 people and alien babies. Where's this going to go? But yeah, I'm curious to see where the body horror is going to go with this, what level they're going to go to, what the gore might look like. And how I will say I'm interested in the gay couples dynamic because I get an interesting feeling about the two of them that not all is well in paradise, and that this whole new dynamic of like the pregnancy is really going to test their relationship, because the way they got together doesn't necessarily sound to me like the best way to start a relationship. It seems like they got started out of commodity and access as opposed to genuine feelings. So this could be an interesting test for them, and it's new territory with double male pregnancies.
Yes.
Yeah, I don't really trust Troy Lord.
Mm-mm.
Ooh.
Like, I trust Cal, because he seems like a nice guy. But, like, Troy...
Why? Because he's a cokehead?
No, just because, like, he seems like he's a user. Like, he seems like he he doesn't really give a shit about, like, using people. So, like, because that whole Saturday speech about, like, using him because he was, like, Jewish, I was just kind of like, dang, you're
Right?
really, like, you're really treating your boyfriend like that? Like, that's cruel. That's cold.
I've gone on dates with guys like him. I know his type. And you hit the nail on the head, Priscilla.
All right, we got our eyes on you, Troy. The interesting thing about this story, and I wonder if because this is taking place in the present day, and I don't think I've ever seen this brought up in any film whenever there has been alien insemination and pregnancy and that sort of thing. I wonder if they would think of including at least the idea of one of them trying to get an abortion.
I wondered the same thing, actually.
Because of Ryan Murphy, and we've seen, he's incredibly progressive with his stories. You can clearly tell he is a liberal. And, choice is, a liberal value and that sort of thing. I wonder if they would bring it in. I mean, we only have 3 episodes, so that'd have to be like the first thing that they think of in the next episode. But I wonder if that idea will at least be brought up. Maybe they won't go through with it because I want to see the body horror. But I mean, come on, little tentacled alien babies bursting through their bodies is
of the abortion clinic if they were the men going to the abortion clinic being like, we
And
want
the women outside protesting. Really quick segue.
Yeah.
I remember the movie. It was Slither.
Oh, yes. Yeah, that is true. Yes.
So, if I
Oh,
could
right.
chime in.
Yes, Maddie Fitz, chime in.
One quick thing that I kind of wanted to talk about that we kind of didn't mention at all, but I don't know if this is a big thing or not, but when we were introduced to these 4 characters in the beginning, did you like the whole like name tag bio synopsis with the picture thing that they did? Like it was almost like a case file. Like what did you guys think about that?
It was like a case file. I wasn't suspicious of it in the beginning, but then I got suspicious of it.
Same.
Because I thought it was almost like very teen movie type of thing, even though they aren't really teens. They're in their 20s for the most part. It seemed very teen movie to me, especially if you actually read what it said, because I paused it and I was reading, their hobbies. Their hobbies were, it was funny because it was like basically the shit they were going through currently. But then after we saw like the 4th one and that they did it for each one, I mean, clearly if they were going to do it for one, they were going to do it for the rest of them. But by the 4th one, I was like, this does seem a little suspicious because it isn't just a profile on them. It almost seems like, there's like a manila folder out there with their information.
Yeah, I agree. Sorry, Priscilla, go ahead.
nothing, just like Maddie Fitz, you blew my mind because I totally didn't see that. I didn't make the connection.
too. At first, I kind of thought it was just something silly they were doing, and then it really got me thinking about, is this going to probably somehow connect to how the government's been keeping tabs on them, or has a file that is going to come into play after everything's happened? Because we're going to have to find out how this all bridges back to 1950, and I'm not going to talk about the promo, but I do kind of personally get the feeling that there's been something going on for many, many years that goes all the way back to that, where they're keeping tabs on certain people for certain reasons.
And I should note that during the opening credits, we did have a couple familiar names that did not pop up in this episode. Leslie Grossman and Angelica Ross. So they are out there somewhere in this universe, and maybe they could be the ones, creating these folders on these people. Maybe.
Yes. And I also, to get back to kind of, near the ending and stuff with the pregnancies and everything, did anyone catch the asylum reference?
Oh,
No?
I missed that one.
I missed it too.
Guys.
Bring it, man.
Well, I guess it's a little bit of an asylum reference. So when when Kendall, I guess, was researching about alien abductions and stuff like that, she mentioned Betty and Billy, or Barney and Betty Hill, the I guess the 2 people in asylum, or one of the people in asylum. His name was Billy, and he was like Kit Walker's, I guess, show like his friend in the episode. and they talked about, getting like abducted and all this stuff. So I feel like that was kind of like a nod to Asylum, and because we
Oh.
did kind of have the alien thing in Asylum, right?
Mm-hmm,
So
mm-hmm.
Hmm.
I
yeah,
did
nobody else
wonder if
noticed
that was
that.
something real or something from the AHS universe. So I'm glad you brought that up, Maddie.
Yeah, it's kind of like it's more so like obviously historic, but like I think they mentioned it in Asylum. So yeah.
Nice. And Maddie, just your thoughts on everything in the present.
I mean, I feel like the whole pregnancy thing was extremely fast. Like it seemed it was like the next day thing,
I mean,
which
aliens do
obviously
got that
it's
potent
not a
sperm.
typical pregnancy, so I don't really have that much to say about that. But I don't know, they didn't all seem too surprised or concerned or worried. And I feel like Kendall was the only one that was putting two and two together, but it was almost like it was too obvious. You know what I mean? Um, and the whole waking up in the car, being in different spots, it was very typical. And I was surprised that they didn't really all talk about it as a group. They kind of just went home and were by themselves. Like I would have wanted to debrief, and I guess nobody went to the cops about the dead animals either. So kind of it was a little rushed. And I think like we've been talking about, there's only a few episodes, and I feel like everything is a little rushed, and it sucks because I feel like even Red Tide should have had a longer season and it might have been better. So I'm hoping that the next episode will have some questions answered, and hopefully things will look a little different, more American Horror Story.
Do we have any theories as to what the hell it was with the perfectly sliced in half animals?
I don't know, like I mean, what aliens apparently do like crop circles, and they I don't know. Like at this point, I don't even know why they have tentacles. So
Well, I mean, that makes it more fun, right?
I have. Oh, I feel like maybe because dealing with the whole thing, either when they went to go look for the pond and found the cattle, and the guy was very much alarmed because what he thought was supposed to be a pond was somewhere completely different. So either they already had lost time previously, which I think is probably what it's going to be, or it could be something that, maybe since the 50s, they ended up working with the alien species and genetic splicing, I don't know, eugenics, something, but maybe there's some entity or entities in that specific area that is able to do such a widespread piece of or animal genocide with their mind, because if they can explode heads by their mind, I would imagine that splitting a herd of cattle in half very cleanly, if they had time to refine the ability, wouldn't be too far-fetched. So maybe it's going to be set up to be, that there's something out there. Now they're bringing it home with them, but the entity or entities is kind of maybe like the hills have eyes type thing, where it's like something that the government didn't want to get out and is kept there. Maybe it did get out. And it's a very loose theory, and I don't have a lot to base it on, but that's the only way I can try to make sense of it by making a theory.
Mm-hmm. It's an interesting theory. I like it. There is a history of, alien media and cattle and that sort of thing. So clearly that's a trope that's associated, but the way that they did it was different than I've ever seen it before. So I hope that we get an answer as to why the cattle was perfectly sliced in half, no blood splatter or anything, because we've seen when they explode the heads, I mean, it's gory in a spectacular sort of way. Not even in color. It's all in black and white, but it still looks spectacular. So I hope we get an explanation for that. I also hope we get an explanation for why the little lake, pond, creek, whatever thing wasn't there. Um, I wonder if it is what you're saying, Vinny, where it's time had passed, or if the aliens can manipulate surroundings and that sort of thing, and why they would have manipulated that surrounding.
I will say the one part of this episode that did absolutely creep me out was when the cow mooed. I will give them that.
Yeah, okay, good.
Did not expect that because it never registered me as something that completely was split down the middle could still be alive.
I I think that the splitting down the middle has to do with the foil, to do with like maybe like the organs being like gone in the aliens versus the organs being like seen and like displayed in something that's bisected, like the cow.
Mm.
But I don't know.
That's
Maybe
dark,
it's
Priscilla. I like it.
that's what I think.
All right. Any other thoughts, theories, or something that I missed in the episode before we head into MVP? I guess we covered it all. So now it's time for the MVP, the most valuable player. State which character impressed you throughout the episode and why. Once a character has been chosen, they cannot be selected again. So choose wisely. This will be interesting because it really was, our introduction to all these characters, and we were introduced to a bunch in the past and in the present. So let's start off with Maddie Fitz. She's been conspicuously quiet.
Oh, shush. I thought about this while I was watching the episode. I think I'm going to go with Mr. President of the United States. I really liked his character. I thought he presented himself really well. Like I said, I love the actor. He's doing a fantastic job. And I think he has a big set of balls for trying to talk to an alien race and trying to negotiate with somebody who just blew off basically most of your men's heads. So I mean, go USA.
Yes, thank you, Canada. We appreciate it. Priscilla, your MVP.
My MVP has to go to Cal Cambone because he played like millennial, like
Generation
Gen
Z.
Well, fine. He played Generation Z, like new hippie, like interesting, like character, like really well, like. And I feel like he's gonna get into a lot of scrapes with this new male pregnancy thing going on with him. And he played the whole surprise factor at the end really well. I liked that. So yes.
Vinny, your MVP and why?
Maria. Good old Donna Reed turned into master alien matriarch. I think Maria was her name, wasn't it?
Yes.
Okay.
Yeah.
I mean, I know I've judged this episode really harshly, and it wasn't one of my favorites, but I will say that that character was probably out of everybody that we saw the most interesting to me. It's always fascinated me how like I have mad respect for housewives back in the 50s that would like cook an entire dinner and wear a white dress and heels and not get a single stain on it. Like that whole archetype of, the perfect housewife. It's such a hard role to play because at the same time as being, you're supposed to be the picture, the paragon of virtue, you have to be very careful about crossing the line into being comical when you're trying to be, Little Miss Stepford. And I think the actress did a great job. But overall, the character specifically, we started off with what was a very obviously weak and demure character, the stereotype of, the mother, the cook, the house owner, or the housewife, and someone who probably wouldn't be a very strong character if she were in the future timeline. She'd probably fall apart. Maybe she wouldn't. I don't know. But we went from one side of the spectrum to the complete polar opposite. And my main reason for claiming her as MVP is she was a beast of a bitch as the alien. It was incredibly creepy when we first get to see her like levitating there, and we only see her feet and her skirt as the camera pans around that living room. And when her eyes opened, there's a lot coming from that character, and that is the only character that walking away from that episode really kind of struck with me as someone that has a potential to be very, very interesting. I'm curious as to what the aliens want. Like I said, I'm open to liking this more next episode, and the rest of it, I'm hoping it gets better for me. But yeah, she's my MVP because she definitely brought it, and just what they did with her voice, I will say definitely worked. Like I thought it might be corny the way that it would echo, but it actually worked really, really well. And she held her own against the president, and she did not stand down. And the way that she's telling them, no, you're going to listen to me, definitely MVP worthy.
I like it. Great choices from everyone. I'm going to give it to Amelia Earhart. I really enjoyed Lily Rabe in this character as this character. I thought she really embodied, who Amelia Earhart would be, and then, when she realizes or when she thinks she's being tricked and lied to, she goes from 0 to 1,000 over the span of a couple seconds. So I really enjoyed her interpretation of Amelia Earhart. I hope we see a little bit more of her. She was really interesting, and she brought her little section in the 1950s was a bit of a highlight for me. So now it's time to rate the episode. How would you rate this episode on a scale of 1 to 10 UFOs? The point system is allowed, and if you found the episode exceptional, deserving of more than a 10, you may grant it the coveted golden UFO. We'll start off with Mr. Persnickety. Vinny?
Oh, I love it. I'm going to go with a 6.5. I will be generous and forgiving because it is the first episode in a new arc that's only 4 episodes long, and you never know what can happen, so I'm not going to judge it, and give it anything lower. And I'm not giving it a 5, which was my original intention, but after thinking about it today, I did enjoy the beginning. Like I said, it did kind of, it didn't hook me the way Red Tide's first episode did, but at the same time, it is a different type of story. There was a lot of homages to classic alien abduction, alien stories that I watched in my childhood that did let me reminisce a little bit. But overall, it did kind of go downhill from the beginning for me. Like I've talked about before, and I won't rehash. There were tropes. I think it was rushed. I agree with Maddie that we didn't get enough time, and we've been talking about that this entire double feature season. I think doing double feature is definitely working against them, and it did kind of remind me of American Horror Stories, just because of some of the way the plot was dealt with and how certain aspects were rushed. It wasn't a bad watch. It's not one that I'm probably going to watch again unless the next few episodes make me go, now I want to go watch it with new eyes. It kind of was middle line for me, but because I did really enjoy the beginning and I still have maybe some hope that they'll turn it around, 6.5.
Starting off with a 6.5. Priscilla, what about you? How would you rate this episode?
For much of the same reasons that Vinny gave, I think I'm going to give it an 8. I felt much more brightly about the future season, the future scenes. I felt that they were interesting, but I felt that they were rushed. I felt that we really didn't get much character development enough for us to actually like the characters, as opposed to just kind of feel annoyed by the characters. So really, when bad things happen to them, you kind of feel a sense of glee or a sense of rubbing your hands together, being like, ooh, I wonder what's gonna happen next, as opposed to feeling like, oh, poor them. You don't. I feel poor them for Amelia Earhart. I don't feel poor them for these poor souls. I don't know why. Maybe it's just because they weren't developed well. So yeah, an 8.
We've got a 6.5. We've got an 8. Next up, Maddie Fitz. I would say the controversial Maddie Fitz, but I feel like Vinny is much more controversial than you nowadays.
Yeah, I told you. I'm slowly morphing into what Madison used to be, remember?
I know.
I'm rubbing off on everybody.
Maddie Fitz is like, a well-established older woman now who no longer needs to be controversial.
Whoa!
Ooh, you just said older and woman in the same sentence. Do you want a shovel for that grave?
Right?
Yes. She no longer needs to be controversial.
Somebody give me some aloe. I've been burnt.
I know. She's no longer controversial.
Man, well, I'm going to give this episode a 6 out of 10.
Oh, maybe she is a little controversial.
Just because I feel like there is so much more to offer. And I'm not going lower than a 6 just because it was a decent episode. Like, it wasn't horrible like last episode, but I mean, like I said, get rid of all these, typical alien tropes and give us something new, something with an American Horror Story twist. I'm excited. I feel like the actors and stuff can do a great job. So I'm just excited. We only have, like you said, 3 episodes left. So there better be something good to talk about. That's all I can say.
Well, there you go. Maybe the real American Horror Story in this was what happens after you eat some booty. We spent the whole podcast not even talking about that scene, so I felt like at least it needed to be brought up once. Okay, I am going to agree with Priscilla. We have been twin flames, this season on American Horror Story Double Feature Part 2. Well, Part 1 and then Part 2. I will co-sign with you, Priscilla. I'm going to give it an 8. We seem to be the ones that enjoyed it just a hair more than our co-host, which is fine. We love different opinions. That's what makes the world go round. But yeah, I think an 8 is a solid number. I was interested and intrigued by the 1950s stuff. I think I enjoyed the present day stuff just a hair more than certainly Vinnie, maybe a hair more than Maddie Fitz as well. I am hella curious to see if this is going to be like the story motif for like the rest of the season. Are we going to get like the 50s, the first half of the episode, and then present day, the second half? Are they going to switch it up in the next episode, the present day, the first half, and then the 50s, the second half? I wonder if they're going to keep this up for the rest of the season. Stay tuned. The rest of the season is just 3 episodes. But for what we got in this episode, I will give it an 8. I'm intrigued by everything, at least so far. Bring on the body horror. That's all I'm saying. And on that note, join us next time for a brand new installment of Are You Afraid? Double Feature, Part 2, Death Valley. Here's our announcer to remind you on how you can interact with us.
Follow Poppy Chula Radio on social media. We are on Facebook, Instagram, Twitter, at Poppy Chula Radio. Do you have any questions, suggestions, comments, or concerns? Email us via contact@poppychularadio.com. Are you interested in joining the Poppy Chula Radio team as an on-air personality? Email talent@poppychularadio.com. Binge listen to your favorite Poppy Chula Radio programs by visiting poppychularadio.com/archives. You can also download tonight's broadcast and the rest of the series through Apple Podcasts and Google Play. Just search for Are You Afraid? Double Feature. And subscribe.
Thanks, announcer. My co-hosts, please wish the listeners a good night, starting off with the newly controversial Maddie Fitz.
Good night, everybody. Until next time.
Priscilla Rocha.
Maybe the alien will burst out of them like chest bursters or something like that instead of a regular pregnancy.
Yes. With tentacles, apparently, because they were choking them out. We didn't even talk about that, but they got choked out, and they don't seem to remember that. But, anywho. Vinnie.
Remember, guys, his jizz burned her chest. Sorry, I had to make a jizz in my pants reference. Good night!
Fantastic. Thanks for tuning in. Download new episodes of Are You Afraid? Double Feature Part 2, Death Valley every Friday via Apple Podcasts, Google Play, and the Poppy Chula Radio archives. Good night.